1970 was a very big year. A lot of changes came in the year 1970. A cosmic flip took place. A change in the atmosphere. The comet Bennett being seen here, though it was spotted in 1969 in the universe by a South African amateur astronomer by the name of John Bennett, which is where the comet gets its name from. It was all symbolic because light streaking through the universe and making its way through space and making its way into the Earth's atmosphere carry a certain message, right? Stars, bright lights, things that are coming into this atmosphere, not of this system or this solar system. Time frames, things coming in, things coming out. Generations being born, generations passing out. This is the signification or the signifying of a new era coming in, a next generation coming up, a new level of knowledge coming in. It's all dictated by time frames, by sightings in the sky. You have people who sit in government, sit in the high up offices of the government, and they do nothing but stare at the sky. Your NASA, right? They have a whole program dedicated to space study. Why is that? Why is a whole program dedicated to space study? It's not dedicated to sending ships or spaceships into the sky to go to other planets, because you barely hear about that. No, NASA spends all its time, government agency spends all its time studying space. Why is that? They have satellites out there. Last night I went on YouTube and I was playing sounds from the sun. You know, they have satellites out in the atmosphere, out in the solar system to pick up sounds from the sun. You know, the moon, different planets, right? So their focus is not on this planet, the powers that be. Their focus is not here. Their main focus is what's going on off of this planet. You know, they keep people, submental people, focused on things that are going on here. But if you understand that so above, or paying attention or being in tune with what's going on in the celestial world, would put you that much ahead in the terrestrial world if you are in tune with it. That tells where you are tuned into, where you connected to. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Dr. Malachi Z. York talked in great detail about the year 1970. Dr. York talked in great detail about the comet Bennett coming here, and he even said that he was connected, or his incarnation, right, came, or his change, or the opening up of who he was, came in the year 1970, right, with the comet Bennett, right? Now, the interesting thing about that is, at that time, Dr. York was 25 years old, right? 2 and 5 equals 7. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was 73 years old, right? Now, the number 73, 7 and 3 equals 10, right? 7 plus 3 equals 10. 5 times 2 equals 10. Notice the number 10, right? The number 1970, the number 19, 1 and 9 equals 10, right? In that word "in," you see the word Lord. And I said every 40 years or every 4 decades, a receiver comes, which is lines up with the sacred number of Amen, the number 40. Also the number 7, which they sealed the Bible and the Quran off by, 7 prophets, 7 candlesticks, all of this, right? The numerical system is very ingrained in these prophecies and these future events to come. We don't pay attention to these things because we are given focus on what's going on here in the world, the trivial things, politics, racism, all these things we give focus to. And they're trivial. Black this, black that. And we missed everything. While we was in that whole mind frame of black this and black that and the whole turmoil of things, we were missing some of the most powerful intelligence coming through the little brown man from Georgia, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because that's where he went through his evolution when he started talking about, or going into the 70s, talking about this being a different time frame and opening up of something, right? Everybody received this. If you notice, black people became more heavily in demand. There was a time when we got 1969 and we went into the 70s, more black people started being who they were. They started wearing their hair natural. I mean, they started gradually in the 60s, right? But in the 70s, it was a full-out thing. You know, people who was walking around, black people who was walking around still with perms in their hair was looked at as strange. Everybody was being themselves, so much so that even your whites were trying to perm their hair and get afros. So what happened? The actual shift happened where things got right in the 70s. There was a brotherhood and a sisterhood there. You actually had whites following the image of black people, so-called blacks, wearing their hair out like yours. Prior to that time in the 60s and the 50s, the blacks was following them. Everything was backwards. You were following them. You were perming your hair out. The black man was processing his hair. Then you turned around. What happened in the 70s? The black man started wearing his natural hair. The black woman was wearing her natural hair. Everybody started copying you, following you for that whole decade. The music changed, right? Things became more celestial and esoterical. Earth, Wind, and Fire came on the scene, right? You had a lot of different groups like that. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm trying to think. They were the most. They're the ones I could think of the most that stand out. And you had your people like your Parliament Funkadelic, even though they were saying a lot of crazy off the wall stuff, but they was the one talking about the motherships, right? You had a lot of people bringing out a lot of message music at that time, advancing the intelligence of the people. It was a heavy mental procession going on at that time in 1970. The children born in 1970 and forward are different. I know this for a fact. I being one of them, being born in the year 1970, conceived in the year 1970, March 1970, and born in November of 1970. Because you have people that were conceived the year before in 1969. They're the people who were born in the sixth seal, or the sixth sign, or the sixth sealing of the last millennium. Then you have those who were born in the seventh seal of the millennium, the final seal, the final revelation being opened, the final thing, the final chapter being revealed before the evolution of a new state, the evolution of a new people. They had to be born first. Dr. York used to refer to them as, the children born 1970 after, as the ᴄᴏᴍᴇᴛ and the ᴄᴏᴍᴇᴛ. And funny, in the word menun, you see the word men and menati, right? And the word Bennett, I made the connection to the Bennu bird, right? Just because this man's name was Bennett, that was no coincidence that he was the first one to see it. He was meant to see that comet in 1969 streaking through the atmosphere and then making its final perfilation, if I'm saying this word right, meaning its sighting here on Earth in 1970, March 20th to be exact, right, in the Earth's atmosphere, March 20th. All this is symbolic or a sign of things to come. And in NASA and places like this, they're constantly watching stars. They're star watchers. They're stargazers, things that our people were doing in ancient Egypt. We were the stargazers because that was a tradition that was picked up from our people, because we knew when we saw stars coming or comets streaking to the planet, right, bright lights coming into the atmosphere, we knew that that was signs of things to come, right, that would affect things here on Earth, the way time is being processed, the way people are living, intelligence being delivered onto the planet, and advancement of thinking, right? So the seed was planted in 1970, right? And things opened up. things started to change. People were proud of who they were. People were open-minded to listen and learn, right? And then your 80s came in, and mankind tried to close things up. He tried to close the minds of the people. He made hair products. He worked on the heads of all people. He made hair products like Jerry curl and things like that, so we can start gradually destroying our hair again. Right? Worked on us being ashamed of ourselves. Again, putting that shame into our people. Introducing different mindsets and ideologies and mixing their philosophy in with ours. Right? And it took about 30 years to work, gradually breaking us down to what you see today. But we must not forget that the children who were born in 1970 and after, the ones who came 1970 and after, this is their time right now in the new millennium. They are your future leaders. They are your leaders of the new school, like they used to say in the rap group, leaders of the new school. There's a new school on the horizon, a new race of people rising out of the ashes of the old. The sixth seal was closed in 1969 and opened the seventh seal in 1970. Right? We're going to discuss that in great detail tonight. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is State of Mental Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing the Comet Bennett, the year 1970, and the seventh seal. Right? Spoken about in the book of Revelations. Seven seals, right? Where they talked about the seven prophets. They talked about the seven candlesticks and the number seven and the symbolism of the number seven, and why your Moors and the Nation of Islam and them used the number seven to seal off the book, because it represented one number higher than the number six. Six represented the creation of man. 6 days. 666 represented the creation of the human race. Right? Mankind, the creature. The ones, the human animals who were created on earth, right, through genetic splicing, and those who would keep chaos and confusion going on the earth. And those people who were a manifestation on the earth, who represented the God race, those who rested on the seventh day. Those are when you talk about that story, the 6,000 years, and these beings, or these God beings, who, what they call, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called scientists or experimentalists, as we say, those advanced beings who created these, the human race, resting on the seventh day, which represented 1,000 years, or the 7,000 year. That's where your number seven started in at, because this is where these people started to unleash themselves onto the planet. This is where this God race started to take hold into the planet, right? And they started opening up the seals on the planet, right? They started gradually revealing things by coming to different civilizations, like in Egypt, like in Samaria, like in Mesopotamia. They started revealing the origins of this place, the reason behind why people are here. They started doing that. Seven represents the God beings, the God race, right? Because of that seventh day, according to the Bible, where God rested on the seventh day, right? Where did he rest at? On earth. That's what that means. That talked about those almond beings, or that God race, resting here on earth, coming here, planting themselves here, planting their seeds here, as that 200 fallen who ended up staying here. That's why the number seven represents the God race. This is why the number seven, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we're in tune with the number seven. Had nothing to do with any seven prophets and all this other nonsense, even though that was symbolic as well. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about, he gave his members the letter X onto their name to mean unknown. I said it was no coincidence that the letter X was in the Roman numeral. It was synonymous with the number 10, which goes into the 10th planet, or what they refer to as Planet X, which was Nibiru. And Elijah Muhammad talked about the mother plane. That was the mother plane he was in tune with, that he was receiving messages from, thoughts and higher intelligence from. They were receiving it gradually. In the last opening of the sixth seal, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked heavily about the number 6 being the number of man. He talked heavily about the number 6, right, in his lessons, because he was in the time of the sixth seal. He was in that time frame, but he recognized that the opening was coming. You understand? He understood that the opening was coming. He understood that a special event was taking place. A new generation of people were being born. What was the special event in time that was taking place? That would be the time after slavery, 4 generations out, that our bloodline would start purifying itself again. Right? If you notice, the children that are born 1970 and after, they don't look the same as, like I said, their parents. I myself am 42 years old, and people tell me all the time I look young for my age. I look at least 10 years younger than what I am. Reason being is because as our bloodline started to purify itself again in the time of the 7th seal, when we started intermarrying back with ourselves and breeding out the bloodline of the human race, it started to slow down our aging process again. And that's what took place. That's why, like I said, you look at us and you look at what 40 used to be in the years of our parents, and what 40 looks like now, what 30 looks like now. And that's if you brothers ain't, or you sisters ain't out here smoking weed, getting high on drugs. If you just basically taking care of yourself, you see what 40 looks like. You see what 40 looks like. You see how we look younger. You see how we are not aging fast. People aged faster back then in the time of the 6th seal going back. 69 going back, they aged faster. But as that comet started coming in, it started slowing down the time frames. When it was being seen in 1969, it started slowing down the time frame. Right? A lot of things took place. A lot of messages came through. Intelligence started to shift the planet. This is the reality. This is the focus of a new people. And they're now taking hold today. They're now taking hold today. This is why they're saying in this time, 40 is the new 30? It's really based on our people, because they're not talking about nobody else here on this planet. You humans age like animals. They age fast. We are maturing slower. We're going back, or should I say we're going forward to how we used to mature, which was slower. We're going forward to advancing in our intelligence, though we have people who came in 1970 to slow down the evolution of our people, because we were supposed to be receiving higher intelligence. When people like Maurice White and them start talking about Egypt and things like that, even though Egypt was the springboard, they were actually going back into picking up where we left off, because I said that Comet Bennett, right, was also symbolic of the Bennu bird that was talked about in ancient Egypt. Look up the Bennu bird, which is known as the phoenix, right? The phoenix is a symbolic bird known as the Bennu bird in ancient Egypt, which rises out of the ashes to become a new people, to rise out of the dead. That was symbolic of a dead people, right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad referred to our people as mentally dead and talked about the rising out of a new people, a new beginning, a forward motion, a continuous people who would want to move forward in 1970 afterwards. It's no coincidence after 1970, we were supposed to have the next leader or the next person coming up who would be born in that year or after to lead the next generation. It wasn't supposed to be anybody born in the 6th seal going back. It would be someone born in the 7th seal, in the time of the opening of the 7th seal. The next one who would take it. The next one who would take this intelligence further. We are in that era right now. You differentiate who that person is based on future intelligence, the person who's bringing forward future intelligence. This is symbolic of a higher intelligence. Signs and symbols dictate the forward motion of a people. This is real. Those of our people who are not in tune, those of our people who are earthbound, the ones who are still sitting around here talking about Africa and all this other stuff, these terrestrial people, these people who are focused on things here. I had somebody tell me on Facebook today when they asking me, I talked about the bright race, and because they didn't understand it, they want to lock us into this submental state of being black and, and African and things like that. I'm like, he went on arguing with me, he, trying to insult me. And I was like, all right, bro, if you want to be black and you are of the earth and you from Africa, that's fine. That's where your mind is at. Go in peace. Leave us alone. We're not dealing with that. We're on a whole nother level. But he just couldn't see that because that's where his mind is at, and that's it. If you secure in the fact of where you come from and that you're an earthbound person, then leave it at that. Some of our people are earthbound people. Some of these people are just regular, run-of-the-mill people. He said, his God is Mother Nature, and that he came from the earth. That's what this nigga said. He said his God is Mother Nature, and that he came from the earth. Right? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Then that means you were born of the earth. You were part of the creation. That's what you just said. You just said what I've been saying. You part of the creation. I said a lot of our people come from the creation. They are under the number 6. They are under the 6th seal. The 7th seal was meant to raise or advance or evolve the earth, or bring in a new intelligence on earth, and also give a sign or a signal to the celestial ones who came from the heavens, who are of the bloodline of the almond beings, the continuous ones. That's the whole point of that. It's not for the black race. When it's talking about the elect, that's talking about those people who've risen, those seven seal beings, right? It's talking about the 7 seal beings, those descendants, meaning those who fell down here on earth, those people who are of the star children, those people who are of the light, the bright ones. That's what it's talking about. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about a revelation to those people. The book of Revelation is for the bright race. It's not for mankind. It's sounding the destruction gradually of mankind and the movement forward of a new people to come out and advance people. The people who would be born in the year of the 7th symbol or the 7th seal. The people who would come and follow those people born in the year 1970 and after. A forward motion of a new people. This is reality. Now, am I saying the people who were born before 1970 are frozen out? No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But what I am saying is that the younger generations, because just and that goes on to say also, just because the younger ones who came in 1970 or born in 1970 doesn't mean they're going to be part of the evolution. All that meant was that in 1970, a son of man would come, right, bringing future intelligence to lead the people into the future. And those who were in tune or who are of that bloodline, whether they were born 1969 and back or 70 and forward, would start to be tuned in. And they would know where they would be linked up to. When they hear that intelligence here on earth in this day and time, 42 years or 43 years after, starting with the, after 1970 going 43 years in, 4 and 3 is 7, and 4 times 3 is 12, 1 and 2 is 3, and the number 13, as in 2013, represents what? The number 13 represents what? A new beginning, because 1 and 3 equals 4, which is representing a beam up or a beam down into the 4th dimension. All of this means something. These are coordinates. These are number coordinates. This is not some fantasy nonsense. See, because a lot of our people, they'll hear this and they'll get charged up by this, and you know what ends up happening? They'll get hyped up, and then they got this movie mindset where they'll listen to the message, and then next thing you know, they going back into their regular life. Oh, that was good, but I'm bored now. I'm going back into my regular life. That's not what this is. This is not some science fiction radio show. This is not some dropping of knowledge and trying to be heavy and deep. No, that's not what this is. This is an awakening of a new people. And I know a lot of our people, they have to wait for other people to say it. You know what I mean when I say other people. They have to wait to other people to say it before they realize or take notice of the signs that are taking place. Whether they know they are of the bright race. Whether they know they are of the people. Whether they know they are of the star people. Nibiru was always talked about as being a moving planet outside of this solar system. And in 1970, they started attaching levels of intelligence, whole and full messages to come into the atmosphere. They were sending it like messages. Light messages, solar messages, mental messages being passed through the atmosphere to certain people, to the elect. Now, who would that pick up with? That would only pick up to people who were or who had the same bloodline, who had the same genetic in them, who were born of that race of people, who were born amongst the so-called black race. See, this is why when I start teaching about this knowledge, I start talking about mentellect and the bright race and whatnot, I said it's not going to resonate to a lot of the black race. Because a lot of the black race are not of the bloodline. They're not of the bloodline. It talked about an elect or a chosen few. A lot of our people are not of the bloodline. A lot of the people, just because they look like us, they are not of us. The elect would be or start rising in the year 1970. That would be the awakening. The seventh seal open means an open seal or an open, a fastened up tie on something. And what would that something be? It would be intelligence, a future knowledge, a higher knowledge that guided people into the future, because you put future knowledge in certain time frames for certain people to get to share with others who are on that level to move them forward. I said it's never going to be people as a collective or one group of people, a group of people that's going to get that same message. It's going to be one person to get it, and everybody else is going to get fragments. Everybody else will get fragments. Everybody else is not going to get full messages. Only one person will get a full message. That's what stood the knowledge of the Nation of Islam out from everybody else and people that were around Elijah at the time, the Moors and things like that, because you just felt it was something different beyond Islam that he was teaching. You just felt it was a different energy than the Moorish science and everybody that was around, all the black philosophical teachers who, they sounded, they were more better and well-spoken and things like that. And, they were more polished. But you look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he was able to do, that had to be a message or a power going through a man. You understand? Coming from an advanced place, a future place. His own people, they don't acknowledge that he was part of that bloodline descendancy of God. They still looking to Fard Muhammad, but that's another story. They don't acknowledge him as that bloodline descendancy of God, that he was chosen. Right? They don't recognize that he was supposed to continue. He was the opening, or he came in the middle of the sixth seal. Right? He came in the middle of the sixth seal. That's why he spoke about the number 6 so much. Look it up in his teachings. And it being the number of man. And 7 being the perfected number of God. That perfected number of God, or that perfected man, what he was talking about was Amen. Though he said Allah because he was a Muslim, but him and his Masonic tie, his affiliation, he learned Amen's name. And they are sworn as Masons to keep God's name secret or hidden And what does Amen name, one of the attributes of Amen's name mean? The hidden. But now there is no longer hidden. He is the continuous one, the eternal one. Right? It is no longer a secret. God's name will be in the foreheads of the people, meaning in the minds of the people. But those children had to be born 1970 and after to be the leaders of that new generation. Those of you who were born 1970 and after, you are in your 40s and you are in your 30s right now. You will bring forth another race of children, a different race. When that knowledge of who the bright race is comes in, then you will be able to bring them in. You will bring in the star children from your bloodline. Right? You will bring in the star children from your bloodline, the receivers. This is what's being worked against in this society. I said something, and I'm going to do this broadcast. Monday, where I talked about how your black race is now your East Indians and your mulattoes, and your black race, your so-called Negroes, are now advancing into becoming the bright race. Those who are evolving, those who are not, who are still wearing that name, they're going to perish soon. That's why I said in Facebook, I said all current races will be erased. Right? To make room for the knowledge of who they are, and evolution is taking place. Different names and different timelines of who people are being realized. This is taking place right now. A lot of our people, and those of our people who are in tune, who are not earthbound people, who are not terrestrial people, who are not caught up, right? They know what I'm saying is true. They're in tune with it. They knew it was something even when Dr. York was teaching. He had a lot of contemporaries. But something stood out in what he was teaching. Something was special. He was talking about Islam. He was talking about Egypt. He was talking about things like that. Then he came talking about ᴄᴏᴍᴇᴛ. But he was talking about these things, but it still was something special about him that stood out from everybody else. Though we come looking like everybody else, there's something that is different about us. The message. You feel it, those who are in tune. It has a celestial lift to it, a levitational lift to it. The intelligence is different than the information you've been getting. That's what it is. It wasn't until now that we were able to describe the difference. When Elijah Muhammad, when Dr. York gave knowledge, it was based in intelligence. It was based in logic. It was based in common sense, things that were not abstract, things that were not informative, things that challenged us and made us think, things that appealed to our intelligence, things that we can advance ourselves by in our thinking. That's what a pure knowledge from God does. That's what messengers and people who are receivers are able to do. People who are of the seal. People who are of the bright race. The intelligent ones. The ones who are in tune. They're able to do that. As receivers of God's true intelligence, God's true knowledge, Amen. They're able to do that. Then you have those men, like I said, who only come to give information. We black, we African, blah, blah, blah. We ancient Kemites, this, that, and the third. We Israelites, we this, that, and the third. Those are people of the earth. Those are your earthbound terrestrial beings. They don't understand anything beyond that. Yet you claim to be people of God. You're not people of God. You're people of man. Because if you were people of God, then you would understand or have an ultra-standing of what we're talking about. You would understand celestial things. You would understand celestial things. You would have a celestial connection with God. You wouldn't be tying yourself to some land called Africa or some place called Israel or some place called Egypt and all these other places. Yeah, we came through those lands, but like I said, those were times and places, and we moved on. Because ultimately that's not who we were. We were people of the seal. You understand that? We were star people. People from planet Amen. Your bright race. Your future beings. People who are constantly coming forward. People who are being woken up from amongst the dead. Who are the dead? Your human race. Your black race. That is your dead. People who were creatures, who were animated from dead matter. You understand? and animated to move around and move about on Earth. There was no mental connection. What's the difference between those who have eternal life and those who have earthbound or infinite life, meaning life within this circle? The difference is that your light was turned on this planet, and it will be turned off on this planet. The people who have a bloodline connection outside this terrestrial world, the celestial ones, their light was always on. And it will continue to be on when they pass off of this thing. Their light will continue to burn. Yours will start here and yours will burn out here. That's why y'all say and you feel connected to places like Africa, because that's where your existence starts. That's where you pick up from. You are people of the six. Black people of the six, white people of the six, Asiatics of the six. You are people of the six, meaning you are people of the creation. That's what that means. You know? I said, I come from the bloodline of God, so I'm not an African. I said, I'm not an Asiatic. I'm not a European. I'm not of this thing. Just because you're born in a place don't mean you're from a place. Don't mean that you're from a place. Just because you're born in a place don't mean you're from a place. I gave the perfect example of a black man being born in Italy does not make him Italian or white. So you don't belong to a landmass, but you can't tell ignorant people that because they know they are earthbound people. So they might as well stake out the claim like animals do. Animals stake out claims just like your humans do. This is America. This is Europe. This is Africa. This is our territory. This is our land. That's what animals do. They mark their territory. Your humans are nothing but animals. And your black humans are nothing but animals. That's why, like I said, they do this racial pride thing, and they do this whole, I'm African this, and this is our land, and this, that, and the third. And I tell these people all the time, there was a time where there was no continents being divided. That's the whole mindset of man. Mankind divided continents in pieces. And the people who were so fascinated by that, who came and was all caught up in that, these are your terrestrial people. You have a lot of black terrestrial people. They don't understand the celestial ones. That's why it's easy for our people to come amongst certain areas, come teach up a civilization. Then when that civilization done run its course, we break down, move to another place. Because we're not caught up on this here. Because all of this is subject to change based on time frames and periods. It's all subject to change. So why are you caught up on it? Why are you caught up on this Africa thing that some Romans called our people? This Negro sat up here and tried to convince us that we was African and that we black, though our skin is clearly not black. It's brown to bronze. We clearly not, like I said, Africa and things like that. There was a time where there was no place called Africa. But you can't tell our people that because they are terrestrial people. They're earthbound people. They have an animal six-seal mentality. Your six-seal people, meaning your six-day creational people, the people who were born here, the people who were part of the creation or the creature experiment, these people are from the earth. Therefore, they have a connection to the earth. That's what that is. If you ain't from the earth, then you don't really feel no connection to it. That's why I said, I look at people talking about African, it don't mean nothing to us. But your Caucasians, your Europeans, they try to have that mentality too. Because they're trying to follow the mentality of God. That's why, like I said, they'll be in Africa one day, they'll be in Europe the other day. They feel like they're international. That's why they're not really into landmass like that. They'll be one place, there'll be some other place. They they just use all this stuff. They work on being international people. Our people want to work on being, like I said, black people. I'm not even saying our people no more because I'm about to cut that off. That's our people crap. Our people is the bright race. The black race, they want to be in Africa. They want to be African American because, like I said, that's what their white counterparts told them they were. So they accepted it. They fell for that. This is who they become. This is who they desire to be. There's no evolution for a people who are terrestrial. In 1970, It was the opening of the door to the celestials. It woke us up. You know who your celestial race is. It talked about nothing but celestial people in the book of Revelation. Your elect, your 144,000. 144, 9 = 9. Those people who are on a higher mental level. Those people who move to the top chain of the numerical system. Right? Those people who are about to move into the number 10. Those people who've made up the number ladder to the number 10. Those people who are not of the 6, but are who are of the 9. Because what is 9? 9 is one number under 10. And where does our change come? Every 10 years. Every 10 years or every 4 decades, the 4 represents again the fourth dimension every 40 years. Look back onto the ancient god Enki, who was Amun, was another name for Amun. His number was 40. Right? They say that a man is not truly a man until he hits the number 40. You look at your prophets, your so-called prophets, and the symbolism of your prophets, Muhammad and Abraham and Moses, they all received their missions at what? The age of 40. Which they took them stories from your ancient Kemites and Nubians, and the Sumerians and the God race who locked into the number 40 or 40 years on this planet as a symbolic time frame for something. They passed that down into the bloodline of their celestial descendants, your bright race, who are falsely moving amongst the black race, the Amun beings. Like I said, don't look for the black race to give this knowledge any validity because they are in darkness. This is not for them. You understand? That's why I said what I said. I cease to stop arguing or talking with these Pan-Africanist people. As soon as I hear them talk, I cut them off. Because we are totally different people. I said, you're not my people. You Pan-Africans are not my people. You African drum beating people and whatnot, and you Pan-African, y'all not my people. You understand? Once you start talking that Mother Nature crap and all that, I know you are of the earth. We having a totally different conversation. Have a nice day. This is not for you. But they want to pull you down, you understand, on their level. We are moving forward. A lot of our people, like I said, it's not going to be, or they say it's not going to be real to them until they see lots of people. Well, I'm going to tell you something. The elect, the 144,000 are a small group as opposed to the millions of people around the world. Millions of our people. Not even talking about millions of the human, but millions of our people. That's a small number. That's a minority, supposedly. But the minority is really the majority. They're the major people. The minority are the major people. Because they make up in number, they make up in what they don't have, what they lack in numbers, they make up in intelligence. And from them, more shall come. They will breed a new race. All right? A 7th seal race. Because the number 7, again, just represents a time where God rested, where he rested on the planet. He rested on earth. That's what it says. When I said God rested on the 7th day on earth after the creation of man on the 6th day, 6,000 years. This is all real. This is accounts, not stories. Accounts. People say, "Oh, I don't believe that. That just seems all far-fetched and that seems out there." I know. Y'all gotta wait for you gotta wait for the white man to say it. So go on Ancient Aliens and see. Go look at NASA, how they charting all these things up in space, watching these satellites and listening for things coming in from the universe and things like that, and coming from space. Go watch them do it. Why are they doing it? Ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that and you focused on nonsense here? You focused on hip-hop here. You focused on sports here. You understand? But that's all mental madness and nonsense for the black race and the human race to follow. While these people are putting their intelligence, putting their focus on what's going on above this planet. Because, like I said, so above, so below. Because they know what's going on outside or outside of the solar system, what's being tracked by that continuous planet, which they refer to as Nibiru, Planet X, or the 10th planet. They know whatever goes on there, whatever's being sent there, whatever's being controlled from those places or from that place by those people is going to affect what's going on here. They know it. They know it. You understand? They understand it. That's why they constantly monitoring it. They're watching. Their satellites are picking up sound. They're listening. What are they listening for? Right? As I said, they're listening for intelligence. But you can't get our people to focus on that. Like I said, our people, everything, their imagination and things, and their want to know these things or be in tune with these things comes from stupid movies. Right? Their want comes from stupid movies. You know, I guess they got to make a movie in Hollywood for our people to care about this. They have to make the Matrix and things like this for our people to care about it. Or else we wouldn't have cared about it. Right? This represents the connection of the future race, the ones of our children who made it onto Nibiru, making contact with our people who are here in the present, who are making that jump, who are going through that evolution. That's what this is talking about. When it's talking about our people having God's name in their forehead in the book of Revelation during the time of the seventh seal of the opening, that means our eye or our minds are starting to open up to the intelligence of the Amen beings, the God race, who Amen truly is, who God truly is, meaning the future ascension of who we become. That's who God is. The future ascension of who we are becoming. But a lot of our people are not going to get that. Like I said, our people, the ones who, I'm going to stop saying this again, our people who are supposed to be in tune, the ones of our people who are really in tune, they're going to get it. This is going to sink and this is going to resonate to them. Right? There's always been, and this is the problem with our people, there's always been a fear of coming amongst your own and not having the rest of the group to follow. Those people who do that, who you're looking for black validation. You Negroes who looking to try to spread the truth to the so-called black race, and you looking for black validation. This ain't for you. Or you got to look around and see what everybody else is saying. Oh, do they agree with it? You know, you people are followers. You're not in tune with God. Because if you're truly in tune with God, then you're going to come here on your own. You're going to listen on your own. Whatever's being said here is going to resonate to you because you're going to recognize it. It's going to set something off in you if you are of the elect. But if you are like these people in religion, well, you just following Islam because you see a whole lot of people there. You're not really following it because you want to follow it. You following it because there's a whole bunch of people there. Or you following the Israelite thing because there's a whole bunch of people there. Or you following the Egyptology thing or Christianity or whatever religion you following because you see a whole bunch of people there. You only there because you, like I said, you are a sociopath. You want to associate with people. You know, you want to have people to talk to. You need a support system. You need a support group. You're not there for the to connect. You're not there to raise yourself and connect. You're not there for that. You're there for, like I said, you're there to associate, to socialize with people. That's the new social group. You got sisters to talk to now. You got brothers to talk to. You got people to talk about your hair with all kind of nonsense. No, that's not what this is. The people who are in tune with God, these are the people who are coming here. A frequency is going off in them. The bright race, the people who are in tune with this message, a frequency is going off in these people. And they have to come. They have to come. They like have a homing device in them where they're going to have to come. It's in their blood. It's in the platelets of their blood. It's in their plasma. You understand? Same as the plasma on the sun, they have the same plasma going through their blood, through their veins, through their blood system. Same platelets. So they're being called in like magnets. Things are starting to resonate with them. Real physical pictures. Real images. My words are creating real images in their heads. Future pictures. That's what it's supposed to do. You understand? It's starting to connect to every gram of their brain. Every gram inch of their brain is starting to resonate or pick up a picture. Thus the word program. Produce an image. Now, the BC does it to produce an image in the minds of the people. It's always a submental or a backwards image or a fragmented image. But those people who are receiving intelligence from on high, from Amen, they're going to be receiving programs in their brains as well. Produced images program in their brains. Program measure in their brains. This is real. It'll be zero in. It'll be zeroed in. And it'll put things aside. It'll put petty things aside in your mind. It'll make you stop doing the things you're doing. It'll make you stop being around or desiring and being around the people you around. It'll make you go within because you want to have the peace so that you can hear the message. It's not, yeah, brother, I think I'm of the bright race, but I smoke weed. Or, yeah, brother, I get drunk, I still chill with my niggas, my dude, you know what I'm saying, but I'm of the bright race. Or I still mess with that bum shorty chick down the street, but I'm of the bright race. No, nigga, you follow man. You don't follow God. You follow man. You should have lost that desire a long time ago. Or you should be losing it now. You understand? You should have lost that desire a long time ago. And if your mans and them could still be around you and you claim to be of the bright race, then you're not of the bright race because once the niggas see the light, the people in the darkness, they're going to run from the light. They're not going to want to be around you. They're not going to want to be around you. You understand that? They're not going to want to be around you. Your human race, they're not going to want to be around you. They'll know it's just something about you that they just don't like. You understand? You're not on their level. You understand? You're on another level, totally different from them. They're not going to want to talk to you. They're not going to want to be with you. They're going to treat you different. I don't care what race they are of. They're not going to want to be around you. They'll try to have limited, if any, contact with you because y'all just totally on another level. That's when you know you're of the bright race, where you can go within and you can be silent, and you can be quiet. And you know, and you can just receive, and you can feel this intelligence building in you. You feel the excitement to whereas no matter what's going on around you, you just don't care. You know things are going to be all right, and things usually are all right because you're thinking about Amen. You're thinking about the true and living God, and your connection to the true and living God is an Amen being. That's what you're thinking about. You're not interested in what these niggas are talking about. Because they're not talking about nothing. You understand? They're not talking about nothing. You're not interested in what they're following, what the latest things are really going on, and what's going on in society. You're not interested. I've been stopped being interested. I might talk about certain things. People say, well, damn, brother, you talk about the black race and this, that, and the third. Like I had somebody be a wise ass and say about, oh, well, brothers, I thought you wasn't interested in the black race. Why are you talking about? I said, I'm not talking about the black race because I want to. I talk about the black race and what's going on amongst the blacks and the human race to bring my people out of it, to give you a bird's eye view of what's going on, to pull you above it. So I have to make mention of it to get the people out of it. It's like taking a shovel and sticking it in the ground to dig up something. Do I want to put my shovel in the ground? No. But I have to put the shovel in the ground to dig the people, to dig the gold bars, the bricks, and the jewels out of the ground. So that's what I liken it unto when I'm talking about going in and speaking about your human race, your black race, your white race. And when I do that for a reason, not because I care. Not because I'm concerned, not because I'm trying to act better than anybody or convince anybody or anything. I'm not doing it for that. Same reason why we go out when we in the state. We go out and we go in and finding our brothers and sisters. People think, we handing it out to people. People got this idea that we doing this in a way of trying to convince people or something. We're not trying to convince nobody. It's not what it's about. We trying to find our people. That's it. That's why I teach. I teach to find my people. Simple. To find the seven seal people, the people who came in the time of the seventh seal, where they woke up. Your awakening is now 2012, 2013, and beyond. When our people, as of 2013, I'm going to start requesting for our people to come out to New York every 3 months. The people who say they like what's being said, because there's going to be material here for you to take. There's going to be dress codes. There's going to be material. There's going to be official State of Mental classes. I'm going to take on that true title of mentor. Same way the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took on the title of messenger, I'm going to take it on and wear it full-fledged, just as I expect my people who are coming with me in the State of Mental as mentalists to take on that form as mentalists, to start really receiving. We're going to stop playing around here. We're going to send teachers back to different states to find our people. We're going to be the resurrection of the bright race. We're going to be the beacon for our people who are seeking this intelligence, because our people are out there. We're going to be the beacon for our people starting in the year 2013. We're going to step up our efforts. We're going to step up our aim and our goal to find our people, to find the bright race, to raise the bright race from amongst the black race, raising our flags up. You understand? Having our flags in our homes, living as a community, living for, of, and by each other, like the nation did, like the Jews did. We have to do that. We need each other in these days and times, in these last days and these new days to come. We need each other. We need to be able to pick the phone up and call each other and talk to each other, not con and hustle each other like Negroes. Not have this as some fad group where it's just a fad, it's some cool talk and whatnot. No, we're not doing that here. You understand? The people who are really in tune, we tuning you people out real fast. That's why, the placing in the code of conduct within the State of Mental, where there's no drinking, no smoking, no drugs, none of that stuff. We're creating a clean environment. The brothers have a clean face. The brothers are standing up like real men, like businessmen. The sisters are standing up like real women, businesswomen with their natural hair, proud. You understand? This is the environment that we are creating, the environment that we are manifesting. You understand? This is the real environment that we're going to bring out, where we are creating our own world on the planet, our own existence, our own reality. And it's a beautiful thing, a clean existence, an intelligent existence. This is necessary to breed a bright race, an intelligent race. I never forget, the feeling I had, the good feeling I had when I used to go down to Bushwick, back in the old Ansar days, when I was a student at Dr. York's. And, I was attracted to the whole community setup. I was attracted to it. The sisters and whatnot, the brothers, like I said, it was like they knew they could depend upon each other. People were sharing there. Wasn't no, of course you're going to have certain people that bring their ways of the world, like Dr. York used to say, you bring your ways of the world from the outside in here. But it was a beautiful thing because you felt the family, you felt the brotherhood and the sisterhood there. You felt the community, you felt the vibe. You went in the restaurants and things like that, ate the pizza. You felt all of that there. People were happy. They were in tune and around people who were thinking on the same level. That's what I'm trying to create here in the State of Mental, amongst the mentalist brotherhood and the mentalist sisterhood. I'm trying to create that, trying to manifest that here in the knowledge of intellect, a true and living knowledge, in the birth of the race of the Mentalians. You understand that? Now, people say the Mentalians, the realizing of the Mentalian race is something different. It's actually real, because this is something that we actually are. We are mental beings, so we are a race of mental beings. All right? I'm going to take a phone call, 757. 757, you're on the air.
All right. Peace, greetings, brother. You know what I'm saying? No knowledge, you know what I'm saying, that you are doing it, and everything is real. I was listening to the call earlier, and I got off when you were speaking about the 70s. and how everybody had the afros and everything back in the 70s. And so I wanted to comment on, build with you on that, on the fact that what did you think that end up, I got my own perspective, but I want to ask you, what did you think that changed between 70 and 80? Because I know that the Perms came out, and I know they brought Biggie out, you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like when you was mentioning they was following us because we was taking a leadership role because we had our antennas up and everything, and then all of a sudden, everything came to a crash. And I don't want to blame it on the crack or the dope, but it's still on us. So I just wanted to get your perspective on that, and I had another comment.
Well, our people became mentally weak. That's the problem with our people. Even amongst the bright race, y'all get amongst the black race and y'all start acting like them. That's the problem. Y'all will be all vibrating on a high frequency. Y'all be out here looking for your brothers and sisters and whatnot, people who thinking on a higher level. And then, when you don't find it right at that point, or you don't have a ready support system of people who are on that upward spiral or on that upward line trying to move forward in a level of intelligence, y'all fall back into the black race. You start acting like them. You start doing the things on the submental that they do, and that's what happened.
You think that was because there was no plan, like the culture? I don't want to use that word. Let's just say that the divine essence was coming out then, and there was not a major plan, so that it was easy for people to fall back into that dead state of mind. Because it wasn't no plan. It wasn't no plan. People was having afros and whatever, but was it just a fad, or was it something that was coming from beyond and people was taking it on but didn't have no plan? I mean, like you men are carrying a plan to go into the future. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like there was an actual plan that was being carried out during the 70s.
You had people like Dr. York around. He was that guy in the 1970s and whatnot, but he was dealing with the Islam, but he was still giving things on a higher level. He was the guy of the 70s and the 80s and things like that at that time. So, but he wasn't as big as didn't have the far reach as the Nation of Islam did.
Right, right.
He didn't have that reach then.
Yeah, and I just want to make one more comment because I still want to continue to let you go in on your thing. The other comment that I just had an epiphany was that I was looking at that video that you had on your page when the brother had put up about I don't want to really go too much into it, but he was putting up the mulattoes wasn't part of the black race and so forth, and it seems like, to me, when I read it, it was a good video, and from what you're doing, it was that for some reason we allow any and everything to come in to our venue and give us the virus, to give us the corruption. And, that seems like that's something that's being perpetuated, that's being continually perpetuated through the decades, is that we, unlike Jews and the Albions and Chinese Arabs, they protect their race or nationality, and it's for some reason it seems like we don't have no vanguard. I guess that was my epiphany, is that we don't have no vanguard, and that's why it's so important in what you're doing, because it doesn't seem like the sisters or brothers, whether they was elders or at the proper age, was protecting, our race, and it just seems like it keeps happening over and over, that we keep getting invaded some type of way, you know what I'm saying, where something like this has to happen.
Well, you know what it is? Because there's really no such thing as a black race. That's an illusion.
Right.
All right?
Right.
The black race is the mirror image of the white race. So being that the black race has become has always been the mirror image of the white race, it's easy for anybody to enter into the black race. The black race is the white race's dirty little club that they can go to and freak off with the women. I mean, that's their dirty little club. That's what the black race really exists as. That's the white man's dirty little club. He can go in there and freak off with the black women. He can have bastard mulatto babies with them. He could do whatever he wants. He could use them as slaves. He could use his women, go in the hoods and do whatever he want with the black woman. And they'll let their mulatto trash, and they do whatever they want in the black race. But they'll keep their white race pure.
Right. Right.
See, but that's what happens when you allow, because that's what they wanted to do when, as soon as black people were brought here, the first thing you had the white man do was he slept with the women and mixed his seed, because he did that purposely to produce that sort of dynamic amongst the light skin, the black and all that, and the mulatto, and then he put those mulattoes at the head of the black race, because the mulattoes, they didn't have no place to go because the whites wasn't accepting them. So black people accept them and put them on a pedestal. So that's really what happened with that. But moving forward, because I'm gonna talk about that Monday. Moving forward, we don't care about none of that. We're not even in the black race no more, and our people had a problem with the whole black thing anyway, the older people, but there was a reason. I'm going to go into that Monday, that why our people had a problem with the whole black thing before, and it wasn't until the 1960s when you had these Black Panthers and all these other black nationalist people come with this black nonsense. That's what tried to push our people into that, but, that was actually pushing us into a bondage mindset.
That's right. I appreciate it, brother. I'm going to let you get back to the add-on. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to take up too much time. I like to get in, get out. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that Monday. All right. When we talk about community, that's important. Cooperation, community. That should be on the minds of the people of the bright race, the seven seal people, the people who coming, the people of the seven seal. Like I said, sister brought up a good thing. I'm not saying those people, everybody born in 1970 is of the seven seal. I'm not saying that. You got people who are of the seven seal, meaning the people who are of the bright race, who are going to find out that they are not of the black race, but actually of the bright race. They're of all ages. Right? They're of all ages. Elijah was of that time. He was of the future race. He was just a future man in a modern time. Same way I am. Same way, you might be born after, before the 60s, but I'm just saying that was the time, the 1970s was the time where all of the bright race was supposed to start waking up gradually. That was the time, or the countdown. Not saying everybody born in 1970 and afterwards, because a lot of our people are still of the black race 1970 and forward. It don't matter what time they're in. They still are mentally dead. But you want the bright ones of our people, what's going to stand us out in a great deal from the black race is how we're maturing slower, right? Because of our genetic, how we are speaking clearer. We are starting to communicate better. We are evolving. The black race is going backwards. Like I said, they starting to damn near grunt and groan like cavemen. They aging faster. That's because they have the blood of the humans in them. They have the mark of the beast on them, which is in their genetics. They have the mark of the six on them, the creation, the creatures. You ever had the mark of God on you, meaning his genetics and his bloodline, or you have the mark of the beast, meaning his bloodline and his earthbound genetics. You African-talking people. You people who think you are the progenitors of Africa, because, like I said, that don't mean nothing. That's not you. You can be from any place, but when you feel a real connection to that place, an origin with that place, where you connected like that, then you are of the land. You are terrestrial beings. You're not celestial. Right? Be careful. This is another reason why I say we have to come together as a bright community. We have to come together as a bright community so we can mix with our own kind, so that we're not turning out niggas. We're not turning out black people. We're not turning out people who are on a submental level. You understand? People who are not of the human connection. You understand that? That's why we have to do that. That's why we have to come together as a community where bright men are marrying bright women, having bright children. In the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they used to put the Muslim brothers together with the Muslim sisters. And now you could be a Christian and a Christian Negro marrying a Muslim sister in the nation. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did that for a reason. He was trying to breed a people who were on a higher level mentally. Because if a sister can, stop being out here and being amongst the black woman who has a low mentality, or the black man could be out here, a black man could come out of that and come into something, not being amongst other so-called black men who got a low mentality, and he's trying to be amongst people who are righteous or people who are right and just in their way of thinking, or intelligent people. Then what that means is those people who are coming together as a community or a collective or a group are going to produce children who are on that level. You understand? They're going to produce children like that. They'll have a better chance anyway. What's the odds of producing, if you a bright man and you with a black woman or a white woman or a person of the human race, if you are a bright man, one who considered to be connected to the almond race, bloodline genetic of the almond race, and you out here laying with the humans, 9 times out of 10, the human is going to gear your children toward that mentality. You understand? What you basically see going on amongst the black race right now, that mentality. That's what's going to happen. We're going to take another call. All right. Another 757. 757?
Oh, my bad, bro. Go ahead,
okay, okay, I meant to take the other 757. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
757. 757, you on there?
Yes. How you doing, Newbin? Can you hear me?
Hey, brother Shabazz, what's going on? Chris, I should say.
I'm doing all right.
All right.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm just tuning in to you. One thing, when it comes to things like when I'm looking up things about like intuition and stuff like that, I like listening to a lot of these white folks. I got to be honest, because they know what they're talking about. A lot of these black folks, they throw in there, it's always some nigga nonsense in with it. But anyway, so I was listening to this lady, and she said the same thing about 1970.
Mm-hmm.
And, so yeah, she said, but the way she put it, they call them indigo children, and she was like, the indigo children started being born in 1970. And will basically continue up until, I think she said 2030 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that's about all I had to say. It's just that it's right and exact what you're saying, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Well, are you judging what I'm saying as it being right and exact based on the fact that you're hearing it and it's resonating with you, or the fact that the white woman said it? I just had to ask
you. See, I knew you were gonna say that, but no,
okay.
because it resonates. It's definitely something that made sense. I think I heard Dr. York say it first, anyway. So,
mm-hmm.
It.
Okay, I'm making sure now.
Yeah,
sure.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Well, the thing is, when she says indigo, that's probably her way of saying bright. Because what color is indigo?
Right. Like a bluish purple.
Okay. As in the blue bloods. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the blue bloods are your almond banks. They are your blue bloods. I said we carry actually the blue blood in our veins that comes out and it turns red as it hits the air because of the particles, the dust particles and things in the air and the metallic particles. But we carry the blue blood in our veins. But your humans, your elite, they try to say they're the blue bloods and all these other things like that. But we're actually the blue bloods of the elect because, like I said, we represent the blue suns moving on the earth. We represent the blue sun. You understand? Then you have the red sun that's moving in the planet, and you have the yellow sun in the air. So it's 3 suns. We represent the middle sun that's moving on the planet as a people, as a bright race. All right?
Yes, sir. And then one more thing, something you said on your last show. I just wanted to pick up on that. I don't want to take you too far off topic, so I'm gonna be quick. But you said that when people get into Islam, that's when you get all into the metaphysics because you're talking about Allah And then you're talking about, oh, no, it's not a person. It's just like a force thing. And then you got to get into the metaphysics of what it is. And, and when you said that, that resonated, too, because, that's pretty much, that's it right there, Because, at least, in Christianity, to me that made more sense because, you're putting a face to God. You got a person, you know what I mean? Somebody who walked the earth, somebody who talked to people and did things. Then you get into Islam, and it's like, what is this? Who is Allah?
Well,
not a person.
Here's the thing. What they wanted to do with that is, even when they presented the picture of, Jesus and all that other stuff, they wanted in Islam. They wanted the religion to have more of an appeal to people. So in order to have more of an appeal to people, they never presented God with a physical description. So what they did was they just put Muhammad out there, and if you see the Muslims always try to follow how Muhammad looked, how he did things, put red in their beard, so they really following him. So he's really their God.
Yeah, and that's why, if you look early on, they never called it Islam. It was always called Muhammadism.
Yeah.
And see, now that's an insult. But, if you look, I think it's even in the Constitution, it's a part that says Christians, Jews, and the Muhammadans or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But, a lot of the early literature referred to them as Muhammadans.
Yeah, because they was following Muhammad, because they didn't have no real abstract. They whole thing, their concept of God, just like all these people, all their concepts of God is on some abstract, unseen thing. But that goes back to Amen, who they say is the hidden, without having to get into the, what Amen is, because they got to make sure that the Amen is hidden. Because if they tell you what Amen is, that he looked like a so-called black man, then that's the end of all their religion. So Amen got to be hidden. But then they showing you now, because we in the opening, we still in the seventh seal. Amen is a black man, Morgan Freeman. You know what I'm saying? All that.
Yeah, you're right. And one more thing, man. I was listening to you on Wednesday, and I realized that a lot everything you say, man, it's gonna be people. Like, at this point, like, this frequency is so high, man, that people are just going to, like, straight up reject it. Like, oh, man. I can't really explain it, but I can feel it. Like, it's just so high that, like, the ship is pulling off. You know what I'm saying? You really pulling the ship off, man. And, like you said, you don't live in the court of public opinion. And, man, it's just, I just got that feeling that, this, man, I remember somebody called you one time and said, if you don't already know some of the stuff you're talking about, it's going to be hard to get it. And you were like, well, good, because that's the ones I'm looking for. I'm not, like, oh, man. But, yeah, that's all I had to say pretty much, man.
Well, like I said, a lot of these people, they think that because they have some background understanding on Amen from Egypt, they think that they can run with this. And I'm going to tell you straight up, System's on Fire and all you other people that's in the chat room, I see you already talking about Amen and some red thing or some red image. Listen, let me tell you something. That back there has nothing to do with what we learning now or what we going into. That has nothing to do. That was the end of that knowledge. I'm not teaching Egyptology. You understand? Amen has nothing to do with Egypt or Nubia or anything. Amen is a celestial name. You understand? From those people on Nibiru. That's their real names. That's their race. That has nothing to do with Egypt. So that means nothing. I don't want to hear anything about Egypt. I only make reference to that to show people, to give the timeline. But what we learn in Mentellect has nothing to do with that. What we're actually learning in Mentellect going forward is what they were supposed to be learning, because that was really ancient Mentellect that they was learning. You know what I'm saying? It was all that the pharaohs and them were dealing with. That was ancient Mentellect. This is future Mentellect.
Yeah, and that's actually Amen was actually used in Sumeria too. That was An. I knew. And his name his name in the Kania form was An.
Uh-huh.
You know, you have Enki, like you said before, and the Lord. So, you know.
Yeah, all it's the same thing, man. Like I said, you can't tell black people that they keep thinking it's some Egypt thing, but that's what happened when people are locked into earthbound stuff, because these people are caught in Egypt, these people are caught in Africa, these people are caught in there, so they don't understand celestial things. They don't understand anything beyond that. That's why I don't even argue with people like this no more. I just cut them off, especially if they come on in Facebook and they start trying to be rude and they come with their African, oh, you black, and they want that to be your, they want their submental reality and their state of creation to be yours. They want to cut the celestial vine to you and the celestial tie to you. Watch out for your black race. They'll do that. They do that, especially your black woman. Watch out for them in this day and time. They want to bring you down, and your black man. They want to bring you down. That's your Pan-African talking people, your Kemetic people, your metaphysics people. They want to bring you down.
Well,
they want to bring down the bright race.
They also think that they're like really smart, or like that they know something, so they want to get up there and argue with you about, you know, this and that, and it's like, man, like.
But my thing is, you can sit up here and tell me about Dr. Clark, you can tell me about Van Sertima and all them other people all you want to, but them people are dead, or they old and whatnot, and their knowledge or anything wasn't going anywhere. If it wasn't leading to the coming together and the collective of our people coming together to move forward, then then all it is a bunch of information. That's it. Intelligence is going to pull people. Intelligence is meant to pull people together as a community and collective and move them forward. Information is just a bunch of nonsense that people hear, a bunch of facts, and think, okay, yeah, we was Egyptians, we did this, okay, now what?
And one thing about information inflates the ego. So when a lot of these people were given, you know, when they were telling you about, you know, the West African megacities and stuff like that, people take that information and then they go and be an individual. They're like, okay, I got the knowledge now. Then they'll say things like, well, don't follow this man because he just knows more than you. Just take what he knows and do your own thing.
Okay, well, what's their own thing? Standing somewhere and going somewhere and lecturing and writing a book on the same thing over and over again and selling it for $20 and trying to be deep and heavy, that's your own thing? That's it? You know, nigga nonsense, man. Nigga nonsense. They want to be like the white man. The white man does stuff like that. He goes and researches things and writes books on them and whatnot and puts all these doctorates and things on his thing. They just like the white man. You know, they just like the white man. They just trying to get paid off writing some books and put some impotent PhD letters and doctor this and doctor that in front of their name. Them niggas ain't no different than the white man. They don't have no purpose. If you, like I said, in this day and time, if it's not about bringing all people together in a collective, like the ancient Nubians and the Egyptians and even the American, the early founding fathers did, about bringing the people together as a community in mission with God, in transmission with God, then why don't I hear nothing you niggas talking about, man? Nothing.
Yeah, and you know, it's a good thing when you just wake up and you just think like, you know what, I just want to do the work of God. You know, I'm not worried about nothing else. I'm not worried about, you know, what these people out here talking about, man. None of this Pan-Africanism, none of this religion or anything. You know, I just want to do the work of God. You know, because like you said, it's only the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Exactly.
So you have to make that connection with God in order to, you know, advance and evolve our people. And if you're not trying to do that, you know, if you want to be an atheist, you know, I understand that, but you know, at the end of the day, I mean, that doesn't mean nothing.
Well, an atheist do. You know what that means? You know what an atheist is? Atheist is one who serves man and not God. That's really what that is. Because when you're saying you're an atheist, that's a fragmented philosophy of man. You know, a fragmented submental philosophy of man. So if you sitting up here saying that you are about that sort of that you pushing that philosophy, then that means you serve man. You serve man. You serve the philosophy of man because you serving it up to people that way. You pushing it out to people. You standing on that as your foundation that came from a man and his fragmented submental ideas and preconceived notions. Then that means you serve man. That's why I look at these metaphysical niggas and these Egyptology niggas and these Pan-African niggas. That's what you serve man. You guys, all y'all doing is following a bunch of men. That's it. You're not in tune with God. Because every time I hear these niggas talking about, oh yeah, well the Kemites said did this and the Kim, I don't give a damn about the Kemites. I don't care about the Kemites. I don't care about we was the Kemites at one time. We was the Israelites at one time. We was all these things at one time. We had a whole bunch of shifting identities based on the land mass we was in. Now we in the future and we moving forward. But that ain't had nothing to do with who we really are, which is Mentelian people and a race of mental beings who are receivers. That's who we are, ultimately. All that other nonsense about who we was when we was in this land and that land and whatnot. Look, man, I'm not interested. You know?
Sir, that's not going to do anything. That's just going to get people to, keep thinking about the glory days and putting up pictures on Facebook about this guy did this and an interesting thing. A lot of these atheists are into this comedic stuff because I don't know why, but to me it's funny because they sit there and they talk about all these gods and they talk about, they was using science and this was the elements and all of this. And, that's intelligence. They were in tune with a higher intelligence, which they acknowledged was God. So, it boggles me, man, the stuff they doing nowadays, but,
Well, that's all. All that is ego and a bunch of people who don't want to admit that there's something beyond them that knows more than them that they're receiving from. They don't want to admit that. They want to be impotent. They want to be individual. They want to be the one. That's the problem. But the problem is you're not the one. That's the problem. And they're going to never be the one. So.
You're right.
Because the one understands that you're supposed to be in tune with the real one. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me take another call, brother.
All right, Nuben, man. You have a good night. Peace.
You too, brother. All right.
Hey, put me on mute. I was listening on the line.
Okay. All right. All right. Brother Reginald, 510.
Peace, Nuben.
Peace.
Peace to the bright ones.
All right.
I just have one question.
Mhm.
Quick question, quick answer.
All right.
Okay, so when I was in the nation, you spoke about how people come in and then they'll go back to doing, being regular people. They'll come in enthusiastic about the movement, then they'll go back to their regular activities. Now, that's something that happens in the movements before. It always happens. But when that happens, those people that come in and come out, those are the people that normally would cause the problems.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just wondering, in this movement, are you going to allow that kind of behavior? Because you know the outcome of it. It's going to be problems. But are you going to allow people to come in, come out, go out, come back and say, I'm sorry, apologize or whatnot, and try to get back in? Or are you just going to totally just oust them or make sure that they can't come back?
Like I said, well, like I said, the process, I thought about that. It's funny you said that. People are going to have, I said people are only going to have one shot with this thing. That's it. You're going to have one shot with this thing because I done talked enough, and I'm going to talk enough about what it takes to be a member of the state of Mental, what it takes to be a mentalist, what it takes to come into this new race and this new family who we actually are, and then for you to come and still be a nigga, to bring nigga ways and come as a black person, or come with that human stain on you. We gonna like, nah, man. That's obviously a character flaw. It's nothing that can be fixed in you. That's something you have to fix in yourself, and then maybe, like I said, in time, as being in isolation, you might have to work your way back. You might have to do a lot to work your way back, and it based on what you're willing to do to work your way back and things like that. Like I said, if you are willing to go through it, then you can work your way back in, but at a certain level. You know.
Okay.
But that'll be rare, like I said, because 9 times out of 10, like I said, we get rid of people like goodbye. I got no problem with telling people goodbye. I don't have time to worry about people's personal problems and issues and nigga nonsense. I don't have time for that.
Oh, okay.
You know, we got people, like I said, we hitting the ground running. Like I said, this should be something exciting for our people and wanting to build and come together collectively. Like I said, we ain't got time to play games with people. Malcolm X, when he was in Nation of, he did that. You understand? He came in, he was causing confusion at a certain point because, like I said, he really wanted out because he wanted to be amongst the civil rights people running his mouth and being seen more. So he wanted out. But he wanted to basically do what he wanted to do. You understand? He didn't want to follow the group, the collective. He wanted to be an individual. And that's usually, like I said, what people do. They want to be individuals, but they want to be in that submental world. They want the world. They want to be of the world. You know?
Yeah.
So they'll start trying to find problems with the movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to say that, bro. I was just getting ready to say that. Try to find problems within the movement. You know what I'm saying? Just because they want to be individuals. They always did.
Or they want to be with the submentals. They want to be out there in what they call the real world. You understand? They want to be out here. Then all of a sudden it's a cult. We a cult now, and we trying to brainwash people and things like that. And here it is. You in the goddamn American cult. You in an American cult. You've been being brainwashed since you came out of your mother and whatnot. Now all of a sudden we a cult. You know, we trying to clean up the minds of our people and whatnot, get our people moving in the right direction, but we're a cult because we don't cater to your low desires like they did in the submental world. You can't come in here and do what you want to do.
Dr. Bay I was a lieutenant for Dr. Bay in security, and he told us that you guys keep an eye on the guys that come in all fired up, enthusiastic. You watch those people.
Mm-hmm.
Those are most of the time. Those are the ones that do exactly what we were just talking about. They'll try to find something negative to say, and then they'll spread it around the community. You know, and then they may even after all is said and done, they may even try to apologize, ask for forgiveness, and try to come back. So he used to always have us watch the dudes. We watched everybody, but the ones that came in fired up. You know?
Oh yes, I see that already. I get that already. I always I'm mindful about them people who come in. They just so over enthusiastic and they want to be seen. They want to be heard. And I watch those people. You understand? I watch those people. Those people who want to be seen, they want to be heard. Because I got brothers around me, I got soldiers around me already. Brothers who they're not emotional. They just, when I call them, they come, they do the job. I like those type of brothers. They know, they play their position, they do what they told, and that's it. No questions asked. They're not emotional. They're not all hyped up. Because, like I said, when you get those hyped up people like that, I noticed that, you know, they just trying to be seen because they on a high right now. But the thing about a high is after a while it eventually crashes. You understand? It usually crashes. Next thing you know, they slandering. They got a problem with something. Oh, it ain't what I thought it was going to be. Oh, you know, why is this like this? And all of a sudden, it's a problem.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You just spoke about Malcolm, right? What killed me about that situation, if this was the real reason that he turned on the nation, as he was saying something about. He didn't like the way that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would have many young women, you know. But it just didn't add up because Muhammad was said to have 100 wives. So I mean, if you're following Muhammad, I know you know that Muhammad has many wives, you know. So what was it about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doing what Muhammad did? Why
you know what it was?
With that?
No, you know what it was? Because at the end of the day, Elijah Muhammad was a so-called black man, and Malcolm X had it in his heart. Like that, and a lot of these Negroes never get rid of that. They don't like to see black men exalted. They got a problem with that. They got a problem with they'll say, oh yeah, they'll be clapping and whatnot, but they don't want to see black men, other black men who look like them exalted because they not on the podium. They're not on the pulpit. They could readily see a white man being exalted. Like, they had no problem with putting Fard up there and talking about he was God in person and stuff like that. They had no problem with that. Many Elijah Muhammad had other women. Because let me tell you something. That's nothing. That's not no secret. It was never no secret that Elijah Muhammad had a bunch of women. That was never no secret. They knew that. Because, come on, how you going to be his number 2 guy? And you know how black people, so I don't care if you're Muslim, whatever you calling yourself, black people run their mouth. That's, black people are the worst at keeping a secret. So Malcolm X knew that already. You understand? He knew that already. But like I said, he just used that because he wanted to be in charge of something. He wanted to be head of the nation. Him and Elijah Muhammad's son Wallace was sitting up here talking about, look at what the messenger doing. And people feeling said you should be the head of the nation and stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff went to his head.
Because he had to know. He had to know, man.
No, of course they knew that. So them old guys like guys like that anyway. They spread their seed around. They label one. What do you care?
Exactly.
It ain't your wife. Ain't none of your wives. What do you care?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just like I said. You got black men who they got this mentality. This who this nigga think he is mentality. That's what it is. It always come out. And I've seen it in the conscious community. I've seen it in in the black revolution, all the my black brother, black nonsense. They always do that. That Willie Lynch, what they call Willie Lynch, that whole hate on each other mentality always come out. And it's always over women. It's always over jealousy because this brother got a bunch of women. He got more than one wife. So what? What do you care what he doing with women? What do you care?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Hey, well, I just want to say this lastly. Hey, you see how fast the popularity of the conscious community faded out?
Yeah, well,
it's really fading. It's really fading away.
Well,
and
when you got
a viable movement normally lasts longer than that. Even though it really started, it really was they really got into the infancy stages in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? But as far as the popularity now, it got popular, then it went away. I don't see a lot of people selling things, and you know what? Niggas really are complacent right now. They are really kicking back, but I really believe it's because of this Obama shit. These conscious dudes, these conscious people, I did delete people because I just didn't want to deal with opening up my news feed and seeing all this shit, So I deleted them, but all these conscious people were speaking politically. When it was election time, I'm like, what the hell? What is this? The conscious community is finished.
They never listen. It was never about nothing in the first place. So how can you finish something when it was never about nothing? All these niggas want to do is write books and sound heavy and deep and smart, and they following in the same line as the Black Panthers, the militants, all them other people did, where they ended up getting involved in politics, worrying about who's going to be president. Because look, these guys is out to make a deal. They want to make a deal. They want a handout. They want some kind of mindset. They got that Spike Lee mentality. Spike Lee just like them people too. He told you what he was all about by the name of his company, 40 Acres and a Mule, a.k.a. a handout.
A handout.
He let you know what he was about in the beginning.
That's dope. That's dope right there.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yep.
So.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, man. My question is answered.
All right. No problem.
All right, brother. You take care.
You too.
All right. Peace.
Peace. We're about to answer these last questions, then we're going to get out of here. Let me hurry up and answer these because we got 8 minutes left in the feed. All right. Let me see. Okay. What is the seventh seal? The seventh seal is the seventh, the last or the seventh day. It represents the seventh day when the Amen beings rested on the planet. You understand? It also that set the seventh seal or the day of gods in motion, right? And the seal up meant the future intelligence that would come when that time was open in 1970, right? The day of the gods came, the day of the Amen beings, right? The true people who are on earth, their descendants on earth, would start to wake up. That time would be unsealed, and that's what we're going through now. The opening of the seventh seal. We're still in the time of the seventh seal. Why was it opened in the year 1970? Because the year 1070 is actually what we were in. The number 1 and the number 9 is 10, and the number 7, right, represented that opening or the new beginning, right? Because the 0 is representative of nothing, right? Cipher. But 1 and 9 equals 10, right? So we were in that 7th year, right? We were in that 1070 year, or the opening of that seal. You understand? Which was 7. We're still there. We in that time coordinates, right? And it opened a new time for our people. 70 years into the 20th century, right? Why were the seals spoken about in the book of Revelations? Because, again, it represented the opening or the realization of the bright race, the elect ones, waking up in this day and time, 1970 and after, which would count down the last 30 years before the new millennium. Also, that's why the year 1970 was important, because it was the countdown to the new millennium, 30 years, right? And the actual opening, which was 33 years, from 1970 to 2003, which was 33 years. My reception time. That's why the number 1970 was, because it was actually a countdown to the new millennium. It represented 30 years of the count out, right, to the new millennium, which would be the end of the old world, right, the religion and things like that. That's why they kept talking about the end of the world in the millennium. Was this just a biblical story or a countdown to the evolution of the new people and the new world to come? Yeah, that's what it was. The book of Revelations and talking about the 7th seal was actually a physical countdown of the world to come. I told you everything works on time coordinates. That's why the numerical system is important. It's a system. The numerical system is a orderly system that takes place that brings about different time frames and different levels of intelligence coming into this atmosphere. That's what that represents. All right. What is the significance of the number 7? As I said, the number 7 represents the day, the last day on which the God beings, the so-called fallen angels or the 200 fallen messengers came and rested on the planet. That's what it means in the book of Revelation when it said God rested on the 7th day. He rested on the planet. They came to rest on earth, right, amongst men, and they walked amongst men, right, the human creation, right? What does this mean to the evolution of the world? It means future intelligence coming in to alter the current order of the world today, expand it, extend it, right, by changing the order in which it's in, the people who are in order. Everything is being reshuffled, right? This is taking place right now. So that's it. We come to the end of our broadcast. Join us on Sunday, those of you in the New York City area, for the Supermen, Superwomen Project here in New York City. Sunday, November 25th, State of Mentel Supermen, Superwomen Project. Join us Monday night. We'll be talking about the new black race, who the new black race is, and, you know, the bright race and the evolution and things like that. We'll be talking about all that after I put that clip up. So we'll talk about everything under the sun concerning the new races and the erasing of the current races, right? The erasing of the current races, Monday night. All right, I'm closing out. I want to play, let me see. What do I want to play? I'm always at the, I know what I want to play. I know what I want to play. All right. I am the intellectual noob in Mencar. This has been State of Mentel Radio. Good night. I'm going to play, I like this song.
It's the Republic of Mentelect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentelect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, I'm then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can